Hi everyone, and welcome to my presentation for assignment number 3. Today I will be talking about Edmodo in the Middle East and in Africa. So what is Edmodo? Edmodo is an educational website that takes the ideas of social network and refines them and makes it appropriate for a classroom. Using Edmodo, students and teachers can reach out to one another and connect by sharing ideas, problems, and helpful tips. A teacher can assign and grade work on Edmodo. Students can get help from the entire class. It is a safe environment. Also, parents can join the class to bring a level of transparency that is difficult to achieve without technology. All in all, Edmodo is a great companion to just about any classroom. Now that we've established that Edmodo can be a great addition to any classroom, I want to specifically talk about its uses in an international context, specifically as an e-learning tool in Cairo, Egypt. The reason I chose this region for my analysis is because I am mostly familiar with the educational system there, because I've taught for many years. During this presentation, I will narrow down my analysis to private schooling international schools in Cairo, Egypt. So let me provide you with some background information to, give you a better understanding. Parents who send their children to private international schools are very educated, very well informed, are higher on the social economic scales, and have been exposed to elements from abroad, maybe perhaps because they've traveled a lot or work at a multinational company. And as a result, they want to provide their children with the best education possible that is from outside of Cairo or outside of the East. So, for instance, they choose programs such as the American Common Core Standards curriculum or the IB International Baccalaureate program. Or lastly, they have the choice to choose for the IG British system of foundation stages. So, as a matter of fact, as you can see, is that they want to choose things, or they want to choose curriculums from the West. And as a result, because they send their kids to private schools, they want to be active in the learning process. And so in every way possible, they also feel entitled to be a part of their child's schooling. And they want to give feedback when it's necessary because they do pay lots of tuition fees. So why use Edmodo? Through this platform, both teachers and parents can monitor the content written and used by the students. Which brings me to my second point. Through Edmodo, teachers and parents can easily control the subject matter. Furthermore, unlike other platforms such as Google Classroom, parents can easily access Edmodo through their personal Google accounts or Facebook account. So let me explain what I mean by this. With Google Classroom, if you do not have a school number or a school email address, items cannot be shared, edited, or viewed. In addition, you cannot join an online classroom. You must have a school ID. However, with Edmodo, there's no need to register. You can use your own personal account to access everything. You just need the link to the classroom. Now, referring this to my own context, as I mentioned before, parents who send their children to international schools in Cairo want to be part of their child's education. They like to see their child's progress, and it is important to them that they also play a key role in their child's development by getting involved, for instance. Edmodo gives parents that chance. They can post, edit. In general, be a part of the classroom, while also being able to monitor and control their own child's content. Thus, Edmodo, as a potential tool, would be ideal for an international school in Cairo. As a platform, Edmodo facilitates collaborative work through the encouragement of knowledge construction. In that sense, as Davies puts it, this provides a strong foundation for cognitive and behavioral engagement, because learning is being done by peers, parents, and teachers to broaden and deepen learning. With respect to our context, the interest in sending students to international schools in Egypt is so that they get a chance to participate and collaborate with one another. Unfortunately, in the current school system in Egypt, the education continues to be industrialized. Students go to school to solely listen to the teacher. They are not heard and they do not have freedom of speech. However, with the implementation of international schools, tools such as Edmodo encourage students to share and explore together, forming a sense of belongingness, as Davies would suggest. Now, furthermore, Edmodo exposes learners to a non-traditional teaching and learning method. As an e-learning platform, Edmodo is a new approach to learning. In Egypt, non-traditional schooling is favored in order to expose students to tools used globally. As a matter of fact, the whole point of sending your child to an international school rather than a national is so that they gain that outside exposure. Furthermore, Edmodo can be used to bridge the gap. Many people in the East are consumed by the American dream. Henceforth, parents send their children to international schools with Western curriculums because they believe that the skills of the 21st century are those of the West. Meaning, parents want to prepare and equip their students or children for the globalized world. Now, in Cairo specifically, anything from the West is seen as the best, and with the exposure of tools from the Western world, Edmodo bridges the gap between the two. Furthermore, Edmodo facilitates easy communication between groups. Because it promotes educational networking with other peers, the teachers, and parents, in Egypt, parents like to stay in the loop. And because Edmodo improves the methods of communication, there is usually less confusion, better work, and more time to engage and focus on those higher level essential questions. With Edmodo, teachers have the ability to give assignments, quizzes, and polls to students online, opening up the digital option for learning. And who doesn't like options? Parents who send their children to international schools appreciate variety because teaching approaches are better tailored to individual learner abilities. As a matter of fact, that's why parents in Egypt send their children to private schools, because the public system does not offer alternative learning. In addition, Edmodo makes individual contributions transparent to teachers and parents, while simultaneously developing typing and communication skills. In that sense, Edmodo creates a safe space for teachers, students, and parents alike. In any context, as Davies explains, it's imperative to apply social relationship goals in order to facilitate engagement. With that said, Edmodo is a means of establishing belongingness because it builds and maintains virtual attachments, which is important to any classroom. So to put things into perspective, research done by Khalil El-Said on student perception of Edmodo in the Middle East expresses that students have a positive perception towards Edmodo as an application for e-learning because it has many benefits, such as facilitating effective communication of learning, which is appreciated because it allows the students to learn adequately. In another study done by Holland and Muhlenberg, they suggest that using Edmodo's discussion boards, students gained more experience in literature discussions, in addition to gaining the ability to ask insightful questions and elicit meaningful responses with minimal intervention from the teacher. Thus, without a doubt, the use of Edmodo in an international context such as Cairo, Egypt, allows for teachers to create global citizens who are equipped with the skills needed to give them that leg up in our rapidly globalized world. On an ed note, I'd like to consolidate my thoughts to provide feedback for others who'd be interested in using Edmodo as a tool. I believe all educators will find that Edmodo is a great companion in just about every classroom because it's very flexible, it can be used in any context, it's convenient, it allows for learning to take place outside of classroom, it's user-friendly, anybody could really use it, it's free, and who doesn't love that? And lastly, it has very easy access for parents. Parents can access the site from their Facebook or Google account. Now, unfortunately, something to keep in mind as educators is that we forget that the internet is seen as a luxury to some, and without the internet, Edmodo cannot be facilitated. Which brings me to my next point. If some students cannot use Edmodo because the internet is not a resource available to them outside of school, stratification is created among the students, that being a big constraint. Lastly, from a first glimpse, the site seems very large and overwhelming, and as a result, its implementation can take some time getting used to it, especially for new students and parents, and of course the teachers to get accustomed to it. To conclude, here's a question I want you as the teacher to think about for your own classroom. Should I use Edmodo? Now, although I cannot answer this question for you, I do, however, want to encourage you to keep an open mind and think about all the boundless opportunities it can offer you as a platform. But also take into consideration your students and the environment around you. And if there is anything you need, I would be happy to help. Thanks for listening.